Before I continue, remember one thing. Not every warning comes to save you, and not every person who looks afraid is afraid for you. When we stopped last time, the clock had frozen at 3:14. Lisa was knocking at the door. Aidan was standing outside. And on the mirror, the words appeared. She has returned. Moira did not open the door. She stood completely still, listening. The knocking stopped. Not gradually, not fading away. It simply ended. The house felt watchful. Slowly, the lights came back on. The clock began ticking again. 3:15. The silence felt deliberate, as if something had been testing her. The next morning, there were no signs of anyone being there. No footprints, no notes, no broken objects, except for one thing. The photograph of the symbol was gone. Moira was certain she had left it on the table. She searched the kitchen, the living room, the hallway. Nothing. Until she opened the old journal again. And there, pressed between the pages, was the photograph. She had not put it there. On the back, in faint pencil, were 3 words. Look above the beams. Moira froze. Above the beams. The attic. By midday, she was climbing the narrow staircase. The attic smelled of dust and old wood. Light filtered in through a cracked window. She stepped carefully across the boards. And then she saw it. One of the beams had scratches carved into it. Not random, deliberate. 3 vertical lines, intersected by a circle. The symbol, carved into the wood. Her heart began to race. Someone had not only known about it, someone had marked it. As she reached up to touch the carving, a voice sounded behind her. Don't. Moira turned sharply. Aidan stood in the attic doorway. She hadn't heard him come in. How did you get inside? The back door wasn't locked. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at the beam. You found it. You knew it was here? He didn't answer immediately. This symbol isn't decoration, he said quietly. It marks an intersection. An intersection of what? Aidan hesitated. Time. He stepped closer. This house stands on something rare. 3 temporal lines cross here. Moira studied him carefully. You're saying this is some kind of portal? No, he replied. It's not a doorway. It's a fracture. The word lingered in the silence. When someone hears their name here, he continued, it isn't a ghost, and it isn't madness. Then what is it? It's another version of you, from the past or the future. Moira felt a cold wave inside her. A warning? Sometimes. And other times, Aidan looked directly at her. Other times, it's a test. Moira stepped back. Why didn't your grandmother tell anyone? She did, he said. Just not in a way people understood. He glanced again at the beam. She believed the danger wasn't the house. Then what was it? Aidan met her gaze. people who learn how to use it. Moira remembered Lisa. The way her expression shifted when she saw the symbol. You think Lisa knows about this? I think her mother tried to interfere years ago. Interfere how? Aidan's jaw tightened. My grandmother was a very wealthy woman. He paused. She believed some things should never be carried through a fracture. Moira understood what he wasn't fully saying. Money, inheritance, something hidden, something valuable. Are you saying someone tried to rob her? Aidan didn't answer directly. She left before anyone could succeed. And Lisa's mother? She broke into this house once. When? Years ago. What happened? She fell. The word hung in the air. From the attic stairs. Moira felt her chest tighten. An accident? Aidan's silence spoke differently than words could. At that moment, the air in the attic shifted. A faint vibration. Moira felt it in her chest before she heard it. A whisper. Not behind her, not below. From the beam itself. Moira. She froze. Aidan heard it too. He looked at her. It's starting earlier, he said quietly. What is? The convergence. Moira stepped back. Why me? Aidan studied her face. Because you resemble her. Resemble who? My grandmother. The words felt like something unlocking. She always said blood remembers places. Moira's heart pounded. You think I'm connected to her? I think, Aidan said slowly, the house didn't choose you by accident. And at that exact moment, a loud crash echoed from downstairs. Not a knock, not footsteps, something breaking. They both turned toward the staircase, and through the still air of the house came a familiar voice. Soft, calm, almost caring. Moira, you shouldn't trust him. Lisa's voice sounded too close. Not from outside, not from the porch, but from inside the hallway. Moira, you shouldn't trust him. Aidan froze. She's inside? He asked quietly. I didn't open the door. They both looked toward the staircase. The house was dark. Only faint light from the street filtered through the windows. And then, footsteps. Slow, calm. As if the owner of the house were simply returning home. Moira started down the stairs first. Aidan followed. No one was there. The hallway was empty. The kitchen silent. The front door closed. The lock untouched. But on the floor near the door lay a small shard of glass. And in the living room, one of the windows stood slightly open. She couldn't have passed me, Aidan whispered. Then how did she get inside? There was no answer. Moira, Lisa's voice suddenly came from behind them. They turned. Lisa stood in the kitchen doorway, as if she had been there all along. Her face was calm, too calm. I didn't want to scare you, she said gently. But he's lying. Aidan stepped forward. You shouldn't be here. And who decided that? Lisa smiled faintly. My grandmother sealed this place, he said firmly. Lisa turned to Moira. You see? He doesn't even deny it. Deny what? Moira asked. Lisa stepped closer. This house doesn't just sit at a crossing of time. It guards something more. What? Lisa shifted her gaze to Aidan. Ask him where his grandmother kept her jewelry. Aidan turned sharply toward Moira. Don't listen to her. So it's true, Lisa said quietly. Aidan's grandmother wasn't just cautious. She was wealthy. Very wealthy. And she hid everything here. Moira felt the ground beneath her shift. Is that true? She asked. Aidan didn't answer, and his silence said more than words. My mother knew, Lisa continued. She didn't come here for magic. She came to reclaim what belonged to her. It didn't belong to her, Aidan cut in sharply. You both know, Lisa looked at Moira, that this house hides more than just history. Your mother fell down the stairs, Aidan said. Lisa stiffened for a second. She didn't fall. The silence thickened. She was pushed. Moira looked sharply at Aidan. That's a lie, he replied coldly. Then why are you still here? Lisa stepped closer. Why do you return every time a new woman moves into this house? Aidan held her gaze. To protect it. Or to control it. At that moment, the walls seemed to exhale. The lights flickered. Moira felt a dull pressure in her temples, as if the air had thickened, as if time had begun to slow. The clock on the wall ticked, slower. A second stretched longer than it should. It's starting, Aidan whispered. No, Lisa said quietly. He's triggering it. Moira closed her eyes. A whisper rose inside her. Not from the house, from within herself. Trust no one. She opened her eyes, and for a brief moment, everything shifted. The living room looked different, older. On the wall hung a portrait of an elderly woman. On the table lay velvet boxes, filled with jewelry. And by the window stood a woman, Lisa, but younger, with the same calm gaze. And she whispered, You're too late. The vision vanished. The room returned to normal. Moira stepped back. I saw something. Aidan tensed. What? Her. But not like this. Lisa's face paled. That's impossible. You know what that means, Aidan said quietly. No, Lisa snapped. It means she's already under his influence. Under whose? Moira asked. And at the same moment, Lisa and Aidan pointed at each other. Him. Her. The house seemed to hold its breath, and the clock stopped again. 3:14. The voice returned, but this time it was different. Deeper, stronger. She has already chosen. The clock froze again. 3:14. But this time, no one was looking at it. Moira was looking at Lisa. You said you hadn't been here for 2 years, she said quietly. But you know this house too well. Lisa smiled. There was no warmth in it anymore. You have no idea where you're living. Aidan tensed. Lisa. No, she cut him off. Let her hear it. Lisa stepped closer to Moira. This house didn't just stand at a crossing of time. It always chose women. Silence. What kind of women? Moira asked. Lisa held her gaze. Women like you. Aidan turned sharply toward Lisa. That's enough. You think your grandmother left voluntarily? Lisa continued. You really believe that? Something flickered in Aidan's expression. What do you mean? Moira asked softly. Lisa laughed. Ask the archives. And suddenly, her voice hardened. You have no idea who lived here before her. Before who? Moira asked. Before all of you. At that moment, the lights flickered. Lisa turned toward the door abruptly. It's already too late. Too late for what? Aidan stepped toward her. She looked at Moira and said quietly, The next time you hear your name, don't assume it's me. The door slammed. Lisa was gone. The house became unbearably quiet. Aidan turned slowly to Moira. She knows something. She knows more than she's saying, Moira replied. The clock ticked again. 3:15. The next morning, they went to the city archives. An old building. Dust. Paper. Silence. Aidan requested the property records. The ownership history went further back than he expected. Here, he said. Before my grandmother, another woman lived here. Alone? Moira asked. Yes. The name had been crossed out in several documents, but in one file, it remained visible. Moira felt her heart skip. The surname matched her own maiden name. That's a coincidence, she whispered. Or maybe not, Aidan replied quietly. They kept reading. Another file. A complaint from neighbors. The woman residing at this address behaves strangely. Voices are heard at night, though no visitors are seen. The date was 20 years before Moira was born. Another document. A police report. Tenant disappearance. Last seen entering the property. Aidan froze. A tenant? The house was rented? Moira asked. Briefly. There was no body. No confirmed crime. Only disappearance. Moira turned to the next page and stopped. An old photograph. A woman standing in front of the house, looking directly at the camera. The image was faded, but the features were disturbingly familiar. That can't be, Aidan whispered. Moira said nothing, because the woman in the photo looked like her. Too much like her. Look at the date, Aidan said quietly. It was 50 years before she was born. That's not me. Of course it isn't. But his voice no longer sounded certain. They requested more files. The archivist brought out a sealed box. These cases are rarely requested, he said. Almost no one asks about this house anymore. Why? Moira asked. He looked at them carefully. Because every time someone starts digging into that address, something happens. Aidan felt a chill. What kind of something? The archivist hesitated. People disappear from records. Silence. What does that mean? Moira asked. Their files are erased, as if they were never there. Moira looked again at the photograph. For a moment, she thought the face seemed clearer, and the eyes looked different. That evening, they returned to the house. The front door was slightly open. Aidan stopped. I locked it. Inside, the house was dark, and on the table lay a new sheet of paper. No envelope, just handwriting. You started looking. Moira felt something tighten in her chest. Below the words was the familiar symbol, but this time the circle was broken, and next to it, a message. Now she knows. Aidan looked at Moira. Who is she? At that moment, something moved upstairs. Not footsteps, not a voice. Something heavy dragging slowly across the attic floor. And then, very softly, someone whispered, Moira.